We are on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I don't know if anybody's out there, but it says we have 0 viewers, so this is perfect. Just a little conversation between the two of us. But I know a lot of you guys are going to catch us on the rebroadcast, and it will be uploaded to my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited today for so many reasons, which we'll get to in just a second.
All right.
But we have the one and only James Sanders with us today.
Excited to be here. Thank you so much for me, man.
For those of you that don't know, as you can see in his background, he's got all this Breakout EDU, and he's not just a big but got it up on his screen.
Yeah, I got my screen up.
Okay, so I got to tell you, like, the whole story here behind how this all came about was I was at that Las Vegas Google Summit, and you were keynoting, and you're up there, and you're talking about Casey Neistat and how you're going to start vlogging. And then so I was like a serious follower of your vlog, man. And then, you know, halfway through, I'm like, I got to do this too. So I started vlogging right about that time too. And then you were in Hawaii and it ended.
Mm-hmm.
No explanation, just ended. What happened?
Just ended it. I mean, I'll have to go into that as well. Yeah, no, it's been a minute. I'm one that likes to experiment and always try different things. And the vlog was an interesting experiment. Like most people between the age of 15 and 18, I watched Casey Neistat like religiously for about 1.5 years. I'd watched some of his videos previously. He'd done, for those who don't know, he's a vlogger on YouTube where he makes a video every single day, or at least he used to. And before we started vlogging, he just created like really good videos. And so when he was doing that, I just kind of like started watching it and was like, man, that's a fun way to kind of tell a story. And I have always been into YouTube and videos and stuff like that, and was like, I wonder if like I could create a video every single day. And decided, you know, that I would start that at the beginning of, I think it was this calendar year, maybe last calendar year. I don't know when it was, this calendar year, right?
Yeah.
And I set off and ended up doing, I think, 125 or something.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun, a lot of work. And the reason why I stopped vlogging, one, the purpose was to learn about that space and learn what it means to create video. Like, it wasn't something like I very rarely would share a vlog. Like, and most of my YouTube subscribers were like former students that like had to subscribe to my channel when I created content for our classroom. So it was kind of a nice space to be able to just experiment. And I learned a whole bunch about storytelling and creating and loved it. But one thing I got a little frustrated with was, and you probably know this now that you're vlogging, is when people see the video, they assume that is who you are, right? And that is your day. Like, that's what, and for me, like, I was traveling a lot and it was a lot of hard work, and would like find like the fun thing that was going on during that day and create kind of the story around that. But then you see it and you're like, oh, they're just hanging out skateboarding. Like, oh, like, does this guy ever work? Like, oh, they're at the beach. Like, you know, like, and I'm like, well, no, like, that's like the 10 minutes we did that. Like, you don't see like the 2 hours of editing that went in that day to create the video, or, you know. And so what I'm hoping to do is, we have a lot of work ahead of ourselves with Breakout EDU. And once we get kind of that next phase up and running, start to experiment some more. So I've just been, for practical reasons, been head down working on what we have coming up at Breakout. So that's why you haven't seen any content.
Well, I miss you. I miss spending my day with you every day.
I miss it too. I got all my equipment. I even got a new drone I want to do. I've been testing this one out. Like, it's the new Spark one.
Oh, you got the new Spark?
It's so good. I have all the equipment, and like I feel like it's in retirement. Like, all my camera equipment is like right in here, like ready to go. Like, I'm ready.
What you I don't know, do you watch any right now?
Yeah, I watch quite a bit. I watch some of your stuff. I watch all of Casey's, and like that's like now once a week. And a few others. Like, it's just interesting to kind of see where students' attention is going. Like one of the things that's so hard for me to wrap my head around is the YouTuber that's been exploding lately is Jake Paul.
Yeah.
And then I watch it and I'm like, whoa, like that is what's popular. Like, and it's like, if you ever want to like see what a teenage brain is like watch his vlog. Because like we see that as educators or as people that are not that age and are like, what? Like that's entertainment, you know? And then like
a whole different perspective of looking at things is really like from a researcher's point of view. That's brilliant.
No, and that's what I'm interested in, is seeing, like, you know, like, and I try to watch, I like eating my vegetables, try to watch quite a few of his videos, and it's hard to make it through, like just the way my brain works. But it's like, wow, that is how you get a message across to a person between the age of 14 and 18 right now. Like, and that's nuts. Like,
yeah. So when you first started vlogging, there was no other teachers doing that, you know?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few now. It's kind of cool to see.
There's like this whole little community of teacher tubers, we call ourselves, and
oh, nice.
Talking about teaching, and we're like supporting each other through our, you know, showing each other our classrooms and everything. But there was like nobody around at that time when you first started, and so like I didn't know if you had continued to follow that, but if you like, you're ahead of your time, man. Ahead of your time.
I'd love to see your recommendations. I mean, for me, like all of this stuff, like at the end of the day, like I'm one that likes to experiment, and like, you know, and always have something that I want to tinker on or idea I want to work on. Like, and I'm blessed to be able to work on Breakout right now and have like all of my creative energy go towards that. Yeah. And that's what's been a lot of fun. So like, I think most people, I guess, I know this is for me the case, I'm most creative when there's parameters around, like, here's where you have to be creative. And so with the Breakout EDU project, it's like, this is a thing, like, and what for us, it's like, this is a kit, this is how people use in the classroom, these are the games, etc. Okay, like those are the parameters, all your creativity has to be done within that, you know, and that's, so, and it's resulted in a lot of cool stuff. And we have a brand new version of the whole thing coming out probably in
really
3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, I mean, it's not like brand new, meaning that like, so like if you have a kit today, like it'll be the same kit, but we're thinking like more different content and different approaches and different tools to make it easier to build your own stuff. Like, so that's where we've been pouring all of our energy.
Hey, will you tell us the story of like, how did you come up with this thing?
Yeah, cool, of course. So, long story short, Breakout EDU was an idea that came up. It was myself and a group of teacher friends, and most of you probably know a lot of these, so, you know, definitely place names where names are deserved. We're up in Edmonton, Canada, at an event, and myself and Michael Wacker, Kern Kelly, there's a few other people that were there, decided to go to an escape room. And for those that don't know, an escape room is a place where you pay money, you get locked in a room, and you can figure out how to get out. This was early 2015, and it was, you know, it's definitely still a very new concept, especially in North America. And we went, and during that experience, we were locked in the room. It was myself, Kern Kelly, who's a teacher in Maine, and his students. I was completely taken aback by just how engaged these kids were in problem solving. And I was like, why in the heck is the problems that we have kids solve in the classroom not as excited? Not, you know, why can't they be that excited for those types of problems? Like, how can we do that? And so I remember the next day spending literally almost the entire day with Michael Wacker, just like on fire, like with this idea. We're like, oh my gosh, like this could work. Like if we could just create something that allowed teachers to bring this experience into the classroom, it could work. And we knew early on that it was going to be very illegal to lock a kid in a classroom. So like we immediately dismissed that idea. And we brought in my good friend Mark Hammonds, and we started really prototyping and iterating, you know, collaborating with folks like Kern and Chris Scott and a few others, saying like, how could this work? Let's test this out. Let's try that. And one thing that at that point in time, it was a very, very good idea. But I don't believe or put too much value in ideas. I put a lot of value in, like, what do you do with those ideas? Like, because if you and I were going to sit here and brainstorm, I feel like we could probably come up with 5 of the next 10 big ideas in education. Like, and like with a relative amount of certainty, right? We could be like, okay, like if there was a VR platform that did this, and if there was a tool that did that, and if there was a schedule that allowed for this, like we could probably do that. And all of those would be amazing ideas. But that took us no effort. Like where the real magic is, and you know this because you're creating blogs and you probably do a lot of other things, is the actual 0 to 1. Like, what work are you going to do to actually get it there? Like, because when you can look at somebody's vlog and you're like, before you started making it, like, oh, like it's a video, I can do that, whatever, you know, like, and then you're like, start doing it, like, holy shit, excuse my language, like putting, like, actually getting something to publish to, like, that took a lot more time, and you're cataloging like a week of content, you know, so you're like having to, like, is a story there, like, and all that stuff. And so what we did next with Breakout, you know, was that prototyping, was that building. And then even after we got the prototype of the first proven the idea, like, how do you scale it? Okay, like and then like you do that again and again and again and again and again, you know, and there's other folks out there now that are trying to, you know, do, you know, escape room type things for the classroom, you know, but to do it well and to do it right, and you just have to be always on the grind, trying to do it better. Like, and so, yeah, that's kind of the origin story. We're now a team of 4. We're an independent project. We got Adam Bella out in New York, Patty Harju out in Michigan, and then myself here in San Francisco Bay Area, and then Mark Hammonds, who's out in Central California.
Is that the first one right behind you?
Oh, yeah, this is number 1. I can show you this. I gotta remove this dung beetle, which you know about that. Like, it's an actual dung beetle too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is pretty cool. This is what Mark and I. This is actually built by Mark Hammonds' father-in-law. This was the first one. It's the only wood one that we did that's a cedar. And it's not, there's no nails. This one was all glued because it was made by a professional before we started trying to figure it out. And then on the inside, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it's signed and dated.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and then we signed it, and then we burned it in with a wood burner. So it's all like, it's fun. Yeah, we're having a good time.
Is that all you're doing right now? Is just Breakout?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's where you're not seeing any of the other, like, side projects and stuff. Like, it's like,
except
we've been heads down on this new stuff that we're going to be launching in the next couple weeks for literally 4 or 5 months of, like, yeah, we brainstorm about other stuff, but it's like just executing that. Like, not side projects can wait. Let's get this done.
Can you give us a hint at what's coming?
Yeah, I mean, we're working really hard to have games that are available for different subject areas. So, like, you know, right now, if you teach, you know, earth science, you can, like, look at some of it and you can adapt it, but it's, like, not very clear. Whereas, like, what if there were 5 to 10 games that was, like, plate tectonics, you know, volcanoes, landforms. Like, that's what we're trying to do for as many subject areas as possible. And then trying to come up with tools. So you've seen that we have an iOS app called Locks.
Yeah.
So trying to create some more tools like that that can do some fun stuff. So yeah, that's really it. And then a few improvements to the kit, or change, you know, to the kit too. But like it'll be the same thing. Like, if you have a kit today, it'll be compatible with the new stuff.
You guys don't make the wood ones anymore, right?
We don't. We have a few in the garage still, and that's something we hope to be able to maybe do again someday. But no, one advice I have, if anybody chooses to get into trying to create a product, is minimize the number of variables. That was probably like the biggest breakthrough for us early on. Was like, you know, we have one thing. Like, yeah, there's a T-shirt there or whatnot, but like, it's one thing. It's a Breakout EDU kit.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to do that. Otherwise you're dealing with, you know, like shipping and logistics and inventory levels and like balancing and then like pricing and like, and trying, we spent so much time trying to explain like, well, no, the plastic one is, the hard plastic one is the same as the wood one, but this one is wood. And they're like, but I wanted that one. And you're like, no, it's the same thing. Like it is,
Yeah.
one is just actually made out of wood. So yeah, no, it's one kit, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Hey, on a side note, I know the joker that grabbed the digital Breakout EDU URL domain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's willing to trade a box.
Oh, really? Is that you?
No, it's not me, but it's a guy. I teach in the same district as him.
Okay, I didn't even know it was a domain that was taken. Now I'm like, I mean, digital Breakout EDU. Is it .com?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know the guy that has the registered trademark on the name, so he can talk to me if he wants. But happy to talk.
Awesome, man. Hey, okay, so I remember in your keynote you were talking about this is going way back. You're doing like these news shows with your kids.
Yep.
Okay, so we do a daily news show for our school, but they were not, our kids are not doing the stuff that your kids were doing. Like they were going deep, man.
No, I mean we were still like, I mean, KIPP Student News is what we called the show. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. We only did, I don't know how many episodes we did, but maybe like we published a few, like 10 or so, but we did one for almost every week. We just didn't get ready enough for prime time until after a few months of practice.
Like, okay, so what went into doing that? Because you showed a little snippet of one of the episodes, and like they were so well written. I don't know, did they write all that stuff themselves?
Yeah, I'm pulling up the search here. So this is the so KIPP Student News, 2011. It was a process. So, you know, the whole class was dedicated to doing just one episode, and they had to write the script and get it approved. And then they would, you know, shoot it, and I would do the editing with them, help them with that part, but they did everything else. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to figure out where to close. I started screen sharing. Now I can't stop it.
You guys have got to check these things out. They are so, like, the quality of these things, and
it's all the kids, man. They did they loved it. And like that, those kids were like, you know, just on fire with this technology stuff. So they just like me, we were all very excited and honored to be like the first people to use Chromebooks one-to-one in a classroom. Like, so these kids, like, you know, loved it. And, you know, Google would be visiting all the time, like seeing how it was going on. And so like, they were like, you know, super excited to, you know, do the interviews for them and like, what do you think? And like, they just ran wild with it. And all of them now, like those kids now are in college, freshmen in college. Like,
right. Are you in contact with any of them still?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the nice thing about social media, you know, because early on in my career, I basically decided that, you know, my social media presence was, you know, needed to also be, you know, professional, you know, like, and so like, you know, I had no qualms with adding, you know, when students would add me or stuff like that, because it was basically like a LinkedIn profile that just happened to be a Facebook profile.
Right.
You know? And so like just posting something online as if knowing that everybody in the world might see it someday. And so was never hesitant to like allow them to be friends and stuff. And that was huge. And I think, you know, but that also made it so that these last 5 years or whatever, social media, like I haven't been able to use it as most people use it, would be like, hey, my friends and I are having cocktails or whatever you do, right? You know, which is what you should be using it for. But, you know, when you've made that choice to become connected on social media with somebody, you know, in that situation, you got to be extra careful.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for all educators. Like you would like to have that private life, but really like
it doesn't exist. Like I don't even care like how locked down your Instagram account is, and it's like, oh, only me and my friends. Well, that means that like 200 of your friends like can see everything that you're posting.
Exactly.
And that also assumes that nobody else can figure out how to see it. And like a lot of these companies, and like they've gotten better now, but like you probably remember a time where we hear about some sort of hack where it's like, if you put this into the thing, you can then see this feed that was not once, like these companies probably didn't always have the best levels of security, and you're trusting it. And that's where like what's scary about like our students these days, like, and having to grow up in the age of Snapchat and Instagram stories and like, probably 10 tools that you and I don't know about. How do you manage that? Like, I don't think I would survive high school if I had to go back and like do this.
What are the ramifications in the future for these kids? Because like, all the stuff that they've put on there right now, like whenever we start a year, I go through this big unit of digital citizenship and I talk about their digital footprint that they're leaving. And like, are they really getting that? Probably not. They're fourth graders,
Right.
How do you tell a fourth grader that whatever you do right now, it's going to last forever, man?
Well, even just talking to like some of our teacher friends, like let's say you got a Facebook account in 2005 or 4. Let's say you got a Gmail account in 2005. Well, a lot of people that are our age, were a lot younger in 2005, maybe not making the best decisions in 2005, 6, and 7. And just that personal email you've written to like your best friend in 2005 is sitting at the bottom of your archive in your Gmail right now. Like, and that's like you're one password away from somebody logging in and seeing everything you posted on Facebook from 2004 or shared in private message in 2004, like, and everything in Gmail from 2005. Like, you probably should do some house cleaning and look at some of your stuff, like maybe export it out of the web. Yeah, you never have to delete an email, but maybe there's some that should be deleted. Like, let's go back there and clean that up. Yeah.
Wow, this conversation took a right turn. It always comes back to citizenship. I mean, come on.
It does too.
Hey, what's the president like?
What he's referring to is in 2013, I was a White House Presidential Innovation Fellow and worked on a variety of education projects. And a couple of the projects resulted in the president coming to speak at the event. But, long story short, from everything that I know, as far as seen and heard, I can't speak too much of any personal experience. The president is an amazing, President Obama is an amazing man. Without getting into politics, like, those were the days, right?
How did that happen? That's pretty remarkable, man.
It was one of those, one of the things that I've been fortunate enough is, I definitely believe in this idea of creating your own luck. There's a lot of moments in life I can point to where it is definitely luck or privilege to be in those situations. I grew up in a small town in Washington State. We were a very lower middle class family. My father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all mill workers. Everybody in my family is still in that town. Actually, just this week, I heard that my dad and stepmom are going to be moving. First time ever people leaving the town to a different mill in Eastern Washington. But I mean, that's just me. And so when I was fortunate enough to get into college, there's kind of like seeing these different opportunities, and every time whether it's an opportunity to get involved in student government, like jumping all in on that. And then like, oh, there's this thing called Teach for America. I wonder what that is. And you don't ever hear me talk about Teach for America just because people that are in our circles kind of have different mixed feelings on it. But for me, like, I was like, oh, I didn't know I wanted to do education. And I applied and I ended up, loving education. It wasn't 2 years and out. Like I taught every single year until LAUSD decided to fire all their teachers because of that cutback. So it's not my fault I left the classroom; it's theirs. And then the Google thing, when Google decided to choose our school for Chromebooks, that was just dumb luck. But when it was chosen, I made it clear internally that I wanted to do that, and like I was in, and like like calling my friend who was the tech guy at the school, being like, so who at Google do you know? Can you like introduce me? Like my dream is to have lunch there someday. And so like taking advantage of either privileges or opportunities that come your way. And so with the White House stuff, it was just a random application thing online, and I knew somebody that knew somebody, and like said, hey dude, and I asked them, do you think I should to apply, and they did, and was fortunate enough to get in. Yeah, I mean, and then like that obviously opened up new doors, but at the end of the day, one thing I like to talk about, not a lot, and this, is like along that roadmap there's a bunch more failures, right? And like, so whether it's the less obvious ones, like I wouldn't say my vlogging experience was, but I stopped. It didn't grow into anything. Like my vlogs didn't have any views, but I learned a lot. So I personally don't see it as a failure, but that project never blew up. Like I used to have this project that nobody heard about called the Google Teacher. Like I thought that was gonna be my thing. Like, and this was like 2011, or like, yeah, I'm gonna be the Google Teacher, like, and do all this stuff. And like, oh, that didn't work. Like, I don't want to do that. And like, so like and then I had a company called Class Badges that nobody used. Like, and like a lot of that stuff, but just build it and learn from it. And then Adam, my co-founder now at Breakout, same thing, like has, his projects, the number of projects he's worked on that didn't work out is probably higher than the projects he worked on that did.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm a big believer in that.
So is Breakout EDU just for teachers, you think? Like, are there other, like, because businesses could use these things as well, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's not. We've seen a lot of examples of companies, and by a lot, I mean a few dozen examples of companies or different institutions choosing to use a Breakout EDU kit for a team building experience. I mean, just random stuff like, we obviously watch when orders come through, but we recently got an order from somebody with a PayPal email address, and we're like, what? And so I'm like, I'll email them like, hey, like, I'm glad you found Breakout EDU. Like, I'd love to kind of hear what you're thinking. I'm like, oh, we're gonna use it for a team building at our call center in Omaha. You're like, what? Like, okay. And like, the U.S. Department of Energy owns like 5 kits.
Wow.
And we don't know why. Like, and it's kind of like that, like. And I'm a big fan of the show Stranger Things. I'm like, what are they doing with them there? What are the kids doing there? So there are a handful of it, and about a good chunk of our users, like, and a lot of them are in school, but our librarians, whether it's school libraries, a library space is perfect for that, right?
Those librarians, man, they're fully on board.
Yeah, I love it. I got to go this year. I didn't go to the ISTE conference. I went to the ALA, American Library Association conference, and it was cool. Like, I didn't know that was a whole thing, but it's like bigger than ISTE. Like, were
they a bunch of old ladies with glasses?
It was a library conference. There was librarians of all background, shapes, sizes, and etc.
I've never heard anyone say this Breakout thing, this is the dumbest thing. Everybody loves it. It's like just on fire, man. It's
been fun, and we had no idea when we got started. Like, we have, as like, we don't do any advertising for it. Like, it all just very much a word of mouth type thing. And I know, like, when we started telling people, yeah, like, it's a box with a lock on it, like, this is what we're gonna do. Like, wait a minute, like, you did like these projects and this project, and that doesn't, like, a box with a lock on it? Like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, even like our closest friends are like, okay. Like, it's gotta be the thing, man.
How about your wife? Does she think you're crazy?
Oh yeah, but she has to deal with that all the time. She has to hear all the wacky project ideas, but she's in education as well, and she finally took her too long and got a kit. So we'll see if she starts to use it.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, well, right behind you. She could have just grabbed it.
Oh, she wouldn't take that one, right? Like, number one doesn't leave the house anymore.
Oh, number one doesn't leave the house.
No way. Oh, this is fun. Congratulations on all of these projects. This is fun, dude.
I got a couple questions here.
Do it.
Let me see here. Somebody wanted to know. Let's see. Just different ways. Can you think of any different ways that you can use it with the primary kids, the younger kids?
Yeah, I mean, what's cool about this type of stuff is a puzzle can be as simple or as complex as you want to make it. The only limiting factor for as far as age is, can the human physically manipulate a lock to pull it open? If they can do that, if they can look at something and say that's a 1 or that's red, they can do it. And so I would say, like, I don't know the actual percentage, but I will make up a number. Like 40% of all of our users are elementary school teachers. I think because one of the things that elementary school teachers know best, or better than anyone, is the idea of small group activity, team building. Like they have like stations, you know, or whatever they're called. Like that stuff is already built in. Yeah, centers. Like that stuff is already built in. And so it's just like, oh, here's a great game for that. And we, from the very beginning, have made it clear that Breakout EDU is just a tool, right? You know, you give this to anyone who isn't empowered or understands how to use it, like it's going to be a disaster. Like this isn't like, man, that classroom down the hall is really struggling. We should send in a Breakout EDU kit and that'll make it better. Like, no, it'll make it worse. Like, don't do that. You know, Breakout EDU is a tool that went in the hands of a great teacher. And so a lot of elementary school teachers, you know, to their credit, understand the importance of character, community, collaboration, team building, and all of these skills that for whatever reason, we've assumed need to stop, you know, when they get to 7th grade or 6th grade.
Right.
You know, like, no, like you should emphasize it more.
Yeah, more.
You know, that's where, and then to answer your specific question, you know, it comes down to the creativity of whomever's designing the puzzle, right? The game could be as simple as, you know, like, what are the 4 numbers you see on the wall? You know, for kids learning numbers, like, oh, I can match that one to this one, you know, and like, yeah, if we were going to do one specifically for like pre-K or somebody younger, you want to make like a giant lock that's not like, you know, the dexterity required. You know, but then you can level up from there. It could be basic math stuff where, you know, you go into the blocks and there's like, you know, 5 red blocks and 4 green blocks, and you know, red is R, so it comes, you know, 3rd, and you know, blue B for the 2nd, you know, or whatever. Like that. Like, so it just comes down to that type of stuff.
It's really like teachers. It's up to your creativity and imagination.
Right. I mean, because all we're saying is like, you know, hey, here's a lock. You should come up, or then like game designers primarily, but a teacher too, they're designing their own game. Like, what is a fun, engaging story or puzzle that will require the player to think and come up with a solution? And what's magical about a Breakout EDU experience is every time the learner thinks they know the answer, they go to the lock and they pull on it and it doesn't open. That's them getting feedback that they're wrong, but it doesn't deter them from saying like, oh, let's try again. You know, and like that's the reaction that we dream about having when we say, here's your paperback, you know, and the kids are all like, yeah, let's keep trying. Like, there's red ink everywhere. No worries. Like, that doesn't, like, no, they're like, ugh, I'll take the C. Whereas here, it's like, the lock didn't open. What did we do wrong? Go back and check that again. And, like, it's that moment that is magic. You know, it's like, you know, and that's where people are like, well, what's the lock, or how can this be used for education? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, that moment is what we die for as a teacher, for a kid to realize they're wrong and be okay with it and fight through it.
And the ones that don't get it, you're like, really, you probably wouldn't have done it anyways.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, and people, like, when districts ask questions, you know, we make it very clear that, you know, Breakout is something that should grow in your school as a result of the teacher interests, right? You know, it's like, if you're thinking that this style of learning is important and of value, then you should do a staff event where they play a game, and those that want to do it, and help them do it. But don't be like, you know, hey guys, guess what? Like, here's your new thing that you have to do on Fridays, you know, and like some people are like, I don't know, the locks or whatever, set it out, you know, so.
Yeah. So my friend Alicia Vilas, she was, she's a new Google innovator. She was in London, and she said that they gave all the new innovators a box.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done that a few times. This is the box that they got right here. It's
oh, they got a custom box.
Yeah, it's like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we've done a few random projects. We don't publish about them, write about them, but we've done a few projects like that where a group like the Google Innovator Academy will want to challenge their participants in a certain way. So one fun thing that we did with a couple Innovator Academies is we will design a game that is done remotely. So each person in the mail will get a portion of a clue, and they have to work together as a team of 36 or whatever to solve the puzzle. And it like requires a lot of critical thinking, a lot of collaboration, and like ice breaking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done that with a few of the cohorts. It's a lot of fun.
That is so great. I should mail something to all my new students that are going to be starting in a couple of weeks.
You should.
And when they come to school, they got to put something together.
Yeah, I know. You totally. That'd be a lot of fun to do something like that.
Yes. All right. What else you want to talk about? We talked about KIPP LA and growing up in a mill in Eastern Washington.
I don't know. I think
Breakout EDU.
I think that's me. I don't know.
How's the running? You still running?
No, I hurt my knee. So I'm doing yoga now. I love it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how excited I was that you were going to do this, because I was like such a big fan of your vlog, and then it's just like that's why I started doing it.
I promise you, I'll do another video sometime this calendar year. I don't know when, but I'll once we get some stuff done and like the right time and place, I'll bring it back.
And then it just so happens you're, you know, the creator of Breakout EDU, so that was a side benefit.
There you go. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday.
Thanks, man. You too. You too.
All right.
Yeah, if you're ever in town, let's go to dinner or something.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Take it easy.
All right.
Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Talk to you later.